Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Joleen.
It was finale week of Big Brother Australia. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's already over.
I
Joleen,
know.
it was such a fun season to recap with you.
I loved it. I love that it was our first time watching Australia, and
Mm-hmm.
I love Australia. I know they do Big Brother a little differently than us, but I'm
Yeah, it
here
was
for it.
little.
It was
Yeah,
fun.
it was super, super fun. And honestly, it's ending just in time because Big Brother 22 is really firing up those engines. We got a
Julie
release
Chen.
date today.
hmm
August 5th is a 2-hour live move in.
Oh gosh.
Not sure exactly how a 2-hour move in works live,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
we'll figure it out. We'll be there for it, whatever that
Yes.
means. They probably just have to enter one by one for COVID reasons or something like that.
They probably have tape set up in the house, like 6 feet apart at all
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
If you guys haven't seen, Jolene has been, well, you've been talking about BB22 for weeks, months, maybe months.
Yeah,
You've
probably a
been
good month
posting about
or
it.
so.
But you just
Mhm.
posted last night / this morning
Oh,
with some cast rumors. So I suggest everyone go there because I do feel like the names you were mentioning are fairly accurate. So,
I hope so, because that list didn't disappoint. There's always going to be a couple people you don't like because it's, Big Brother
yeah.
and all this is subjective and whatever. But for the most part, Sarah and I were just briefly talking before this, and we're both impressed at, if this list is correct, who they were able to pull.
Yeah. I mean, that's been my biggest complaint since all of this speculation happened months ago is I was like, don't call it all stars if you don't have all stars. And now I have to
hmm
like zip it because there are definitely some all stars on there.
hmm
I hope we get it. So yes, check out Jolene's videos. She will keep those coming all Big Brother season long. David and I will be here when everything's official. So we do anticipate talking about cast next week because that will possibly be announced Monday, but definitely by Wednesday. I've heard both. So
Yeah, I think they put on their site the 29th for a live cast thing at like 9 a.m. Pacific or something.
yeah, and I imagine that's going to be like them. I think it'll be like OTT. You didn't see OTT, but they walked into a
Mm-mm.
room with an iPad and just because Jeff wasn't there, and I don't think Jeff will be there this year. I don't think they can have anyone there this year. So I think they'll just like read off an iPad and be like, I'm Janelle. What more do I have to say? So we'll see that on Wednesday, but I've
hmm
heard that they're dropping the cast on Monday. So if all of that's
Exciting.
official, David and I will be right here on Nerdtainment talking about it. And also over on Jolene's channel, she'll be talking about it too. Julie, thank you for the super chat.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, the Big Brother gods have spoken. It is a beautiful day. But
Oh,
let's get back to Australia.
yes.
Okay. Well, we started when Sophie had just returned, and
hmm
Matt and Dan were not so thrilled about that twist. That's where we left off last week. So this week we started with obviously Chad super happy. Yay. His
He
girl's back.
planted a
Sophie's back.
flag. He planted a flag in the room.
He did. That actually was really cute. That was funny. He like put together a
What was it?
pillowcase and a mop broom or mop stick,
I
the
was like, what
handle.
is this?
Yeah. I was like, what is this? But hey, that is creative
Mhm.
way to do something different because it's so lonely in that house. But also there was a Labrador named Banjo.
And thank goodness, because I was starting to see what Australia has been talking about in this episode with Dan and Matt. I was like, oh, wow. I mean, I get you're upset, but they were taking it to another level when it's like the next day and you're still not talking to this person because you do
Yeah.
have to remember you are playing a game and you are fully grown men. And now you're going to make people dislike you. Because I didn't really
Yeah.
get it at first, but then seeing them still sulking and ignoring Sophie, it's a really bad look.
Yeah, that doesn't look good. Luckily, the
Mhm.
dog softened most of them. They got to play with the dog for an hour, Banjo. Um, and that let Dan kind of like let it go. He even tells Matt to take the emotions out of it. It's a business
Mhm.
decision. But Matt still like Matt didn't care about the dog, Jolene.
I think Matt has another side that we didn't see in this edit, and I think that there's a temper there, and not saying people can't have layers and you can't have a little bit of a temper, but the more we saw towards the end of the game, the more I was like, okay, this isn't this like I'm from this small town electrician guy. This
Hmm.
is someone who it's not like we see with how Chad is, where you just know Chad's just like, I just want a beer. I just want a beer. Matt is very competitive and it comes with a certain
Yeah.
aggression, and then also a what appears to be a temper.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're not a dog person, that's really all I need to know about you.
If you don't like a Labrador that shows up, it's like a
Yeah,
golden lab who just
it's
wants
like
to
a
love you and lick
puppy.
you. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it said a lot about Matt. And after that, I was like, you can go. You can
yeah,
go.
yeah. I was like, oh, no, that's disappointing because now I've learned
Yeah.
so much more about you.
Hmm.
Than I had realized. So, the first challenge that we see is not to nominate. This is just to be safe. So the first person out of this challenge we know is going to automatically be up for elimination on the block, as we would call it. And this looked straight grueling. So it's like a grain silo type thing, like a funnel.
Hmm.
And it's full of, I'm calling it grain. It looked like popcorn kernels. And it's
Popcorn,
going
yeah.
to pull, it's going to fall out. So they have to run upstairs, bucket, go down, like bucket and dump back in, right? Up and down these stairs. Those stairs alone would have killed me. This was so grueling.
Hmm. Well, and one thing I didn't like about this is why allow this white room thing and allow her to come back in, and she makes it and does what she needs to do, and then you give her a major disadvantage going into the first challenge, putting her at risk, knowing that anyone who comes back into a Big Brother game is always at risk. She already has a huge target on her back. Why did they give her another disadvantage?
Oh, I thought that that kind
Sophie.
of leveled it out. Yeah. So Sophie had less grain. That was her disadvantage. And I felt like that made sense. I mean, when you get a second chance at the game,
Maybe. I don't know. I just
I
feel like
mean,
any kind of battle back, we always see that
yeah.
in the US Big Brother, and they're immediately targets. And I feel like if you
Yeah.
battle back and that's part of the game, you deserve a week of immunity. But again,
Hmm.
this is also happening later in the game than
Too
our battle
late.
backs
Yeah.
happen. So yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like how late this twist was. And like even in Survivor, we saw like they came back with idols. They get an advantage when they
Hmm.
come back. So I guess I see both sides of that, but I was just like, yeah, that made sense to me in that moment. But um what Matt got an advantage, but is that not yet? Is that later? What did his advantage end up being? Because he didn't get.
He was allowed to vote, right? That was that the
Oh, we got the
advantage?
extra vote. That was what it
Hmm.
was. That's what it was. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's obvious though when you see this challenge that little Sarah is going to be in trouble.
I know. Well, when anytime they have these where they have to run and lift and all these things, or there's stairs or anything, it's like she's so much smaller. I feel like they need to make the equipment equal to her level of height,
Yeah,
you
her
know?
little legs can't run up and then run back down and then run back up and then
Hmm.
like run them down. I
No.
mean, it's just like it was such a bummer that they, tell us that it's going to be for someone to be on the block. And I'm like, well, then obviously it's Sarah. Like you're just telling us we're going to have Sarah up there.
Hmm. Exactly. It to have it this physical and with a disadvantage to Sarah in so many ways, it just seems kind of, yeah, it's just kind of crappy that they have it like that.
Yeah, I was bummed. Faith, thank you for the super chat. Sarah is so young and so powerful. I adored her as well and was real
Mhm.
bummed that she got the bum end of this sort of twist. I guess it's not quite a twist, but yeah. So Sarah quickly falls behind and as expected, she loses this and she's automatically up for elimination. When I thought just an episode or two before this, she was sitting pretty as the third
Right.
wheel for two
Mhm.
duos. And I'm thinking, great, she's a lock in for final three. And she would have been had this not happened.
Yeah, it was disappointing to know that for sure. Because at first I was like, oh no, she's okay, and then I'm like, oh no, she's not. She's automatically
Yeah,
on the block.
right.
So that's
And
I don't know how I feel about that either. I still think the person who wins should have to pick the
right.
two. You know,
Yeah.
it's a weird. It was different. It was different for sure.
Yeah, and there was only really one scenario where it might possibly work out for her being on the block
Mhm.
to be saved. All other scenarios, she's a goner. So the next challenge we have is a nomination challenge, and this person is basically just putting up the other person on the block,
Mhm.
and it's coming down to two duos, which I think these Big Brother producers probably wanted it this way. We wanted the
Mhm.
showmance versus the bromance. I imagine
Yes.
that's preferred for
Mhm.
producers, not for us who love Sarah.
Yes.
This challenge was terrifying. Do not put me in water and lock me
Oh,
in.
I would have freaked out, especially at that angle too.
Oh,
Just no. Mm-mm. No.
no. When they were explaining this and like Sophie and Chad were starting to sort of panic, I was like, yes, me too. I'm panicking just listening to this. Like I have to remind myself that I can breathe and I am not underwater. Like I am not about
Mhm.
it at all.
Any
So
kind of
they're
water challenge, I wouldn't
no,
like. Mm-mm. No.
no, I'm not a fan. So they're in this like cage basically laying on their backs, locked in. Water starts to fill up. And we saw this previously where they have to unlock, they have a ring of keys and they have to
Yes.
unlock something. And like, I don't know, is that just luck? It's kind of a
It
weird
is.
comp.
It is a lot of luck because it is just picking the right key and you might get lucky and
Yeah.
you might keep picking the right key and then you might have really bad luck and then you never get to the right key. So
Yeah.
it is a weird comp. The key one is strange. I feel like if there was some kind of like question that went along with if you get this right, then you use the key to open it or
Yeah.
some kind of strategy, but there's really not a strategy
No.
you can take.
Yeah, I don't
Mm-mm.
love it just coming down to luck because, like, Matt never got anything unlocked. He just was going through the keys and he was like, not even sure
Mhm.
any of these work. Like, he was just
Mhm.
going through that ring, whereas Chad is just like gets through them real quick. That has to be luck.
Well,
There's no way to pick a key.
not to be a Big Brother conspiracy theorist, but it would be the type of competition that'd be a good way for producers to control who moves
Whoops.
forward.
Oh, did we not put a
So,
key that worked on this one? Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Yeah, I think I would, if I were Matt, I would be like, okay, producer, show me which key works now.
Yes.
Prove to
Mhm.
me that this worked. You're right. I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but
But makes you
you never,
think.
you never know. So Chad wins, and boom, that means our showmance is safe.
Mhm.
He's
Wow,
going to put up
Sophia
Matt or Dan.
was so relieved. She's so relieved.
Sure.
Matt and Dan pissed again. They hate this twist. They hate
Yeah.
it. They just are like, this is not right. And
Luckily, they did seem to understand like a comp is a comp. Like he won.
yeah.
So it's up to him. And they, this whole like polite thing that we have going in the Australia house is like, we're not going to campaign against each other. Whatever
So
you
weird.
want to do,
Just do what's best for you because
Yeah.
it's your game.
Yeah. So he does end up nominating Matt. I think Chad feels a bit more burned by Matt
Well,
than Dan.
Dan redeemed himself with the puppy. And
Mhm.
I think Chad is someone, since he's playing strictly on his moral code, he wants to bring people along with him who he feels are also morally playing this game, at their highest morals, where I think, his biggest mistake, Matt's biggest mistake, was being such a baby about the twist. You really got to get over it and act like it doesn't bother you
Yeah.
and put that brave face on, because kind of, you lived with these people long enough, how they work, and
Yeah.
you're going to alienate Sophie, who could be a vote for you to stay if it is versus
Mhm.
you and Dan, and you're also going to alienate Chad, who has the power to put you on a block and vote you out as well. So
Yeah, I mean, Dan's social game really was his strength.
mhm.
Like, he really could
Is
just
he still hated by Australian public? I mean, was this a thing?
I don't know if he was super hated, but I think that there was damage by the end vote here. I think there was some damage that happened. He wasn't as super loved as he might have been early on in the season
Yeah,
because the vote did not go his way. Did not
no.
go his way. So Matt is sitting next to Sarah, and Sarah also this whole Australia vibe of like, we don't want to be cutthroat or think like work strategically. She's like, I'll try a little bit. Like maybe I can convince Dan to keep me
I
over Matt.
I think they've just, at this point, what it sounds like from what we've heard of people who have watched many seasons of BB Australia, is that these house guests know how the Australian public votes. And she's like, I don't have a chance, because if
Yeah,
Dan breaks his allegiance to Matt, Australia will turn on him. And he knows he doesn't have a
yeah,
chance in the final vote. So he has to, even if it's not best for his game,
right.
bring Matt forward, even though what we know outside of the house, it is best for his game to bring Matt forward, because the Australian public doesn't seem to necessarily vote on, vote for gamers. They want people who maybe gamed a little, but were overall good people and had a really good story, like Survivor does,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So unfortunately, we see Sarah voted out 2-1 because Dan and Matt have to stay together and Chad and Sophie have to stay together. And so poor Sarah is
I
out.
know. But you know what? Being 19 and having all of that and getting that far, I mean, she has a lot. She has a big for a little lady, she has a big life ahead of her. So I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited for her, because she ends up being a fan favorite, is
Yes.
what they reveal later. And I'm like, of course she is, of course.
Yeah, she's absolutely a fan favorite. And I think that I mean, yeah, I adored her. I loved watching her. She has so much life to live. And yeah, I wish her all the best. I hope Australia,
Yeah.
I don't know, supports her for sure. Okay, the next episode 20. It's just kind of like the last episode of Big Brother in the US, where they have a champagne brunch retrospective. We get packages about each one of them in the game and their time in the house. We see video messages from the former house guests, which was actually kind of funny.
It was funny to see some of them. And like the first woman that left, I don't even remember her name. She was like, remember me? And I'm like, no.
Yes.
And then Alan, you see
Yeah.
Alan, and you're like, oh, I can't forget about Alan, because he said
He was
Alan so
like,
much.
would I have thought all of you? No, never.
I
This is
thought
a
Alan, Alan,
memoir.
Alan, and Alan.
Yeah. Absolutely. I loved I think it was Kieran's that yeah, he really broke it down like each player and I really appreciated his message.
Well, we
Um
know he's happy, Sarah, because Sarah found pictures of him hand in hand, holding hands, walking down the street with Hannah. So Kieran's like, I got 15 G's and this hot
a
woman out of
girlfriend?
it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I did more stalking for lack of a
Uh-huh.
better word on this Australia cast than I ever have on an American cast. I was like,
Did
what
you
are they
find
doing?
anything else?
I didn't find much. I mean, I did find a little bit about Chad and Sophie. They may
Well,
not be a couple anymore.
I picked up weird vibes from them at the end. Definite weird vibes. And I was watching Hannah and Kieran a lot, and I like
Mhm.
both of them, but I also noticed both of them very much like the attention and made sure to be looking a lot where the camera was. So this relationship could benefit them in multiple ways. So I was like, oh wow, Kieran's really looking for it. Hannah's back there looking for it. Hannah hugged our winner a lot at the end. I think because you know where the camera is. So yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there.
Look, I don't hate it. If you guys are just doing that for press, I'm all for it because I loved Kieran and I really liked Hannah. I wanted to see more of Hannah. So, but I did think it was very cute that they were holding hands. So yeah, they may not be a couple at all. There's like no actual confirmation, but they have been super flirty, like on social media, and they were holding hands.
And they've kissed.
And they've obviously kissed. Hello.
In a box.
Okay,
oh.
so romantic in a public box. This challenge is our last challenge, and it's very similar to what we've seen in Survivor, where you put a ball in. This one's going down. You hate it in general? You hate it on Survivor too?
Yes, because it stresses me out. That's why. I don't think it's a bad challenge. I think it just stresses me out to have to, when they're dropping your fourth ball and all that. I'm just like, it gives me anxiety for some reason.
Yeah, it is. It's super stressful. But I think it's kind of hard. It has a little bit more skill than unlocking a lock. So I appreciate that. So this one, though, was a little different than the Survivor one because, well, they're going, boy, this Big Brother house loves their stairs. Like they're going up and down these stairs and they stop down to add the next ball. So the first one, they're just kind of getting the rhythm. Then they stop and they go up and they're going to drop a second ball and they're sort of getting the hang of it. And at first I was like, why are you letting them catch their breath? Like, this seems boring to me. But I realized, or at least my perspective was, it seemed like it made it harder. By the time they're dropping that third and fourth one, like actually timing it out seemed harder to figure out this way.
Yeah, because you're like halting whatever flow they've developed. So I think that you're right, Sarah. That's exactly what it was doing.
Once they made it.
Which made it go a little quicker,
Yeah,
I think.
Right. They probably could have gone longer if they were just like drop, you've got a minute to add the fourth ball or whatever. But so by the time they hit that fourth ball, like Dan just didn't even space it out right. He like dropped all four, like basically one after the other. So he drops out immediately, or his ball falls immediately. Dan's out.
And I couldn't believe it. I thought for sure Dan was gonna either win that or come in second to winning that. But no, when he was out, I was like, yes, I found myself going, even though I said last episode, going for the underdogs, that Sophie comeback story. I fell for it. And so now I'm like, yeah, come on, you guys can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought Sophie would just win this. She's such a comp queen. Like she's so good at these challenges. I thought that she would probably win it. And we should mention, like, Chad can barely walk. Like if something happened to his ankle, he's struggling to walk at all. So going up and down these stairs, I'm thinking he's out immediately. But quite the opposite. So Dan drops first, and then pretty quickly after that, Sophie's out.
That means with a hurt ankle, Chad beat two basically professional athletes. Right. And Matt lasted longer than them as well, and he's an electrician. And Chad's a model. I mean, he's in great shape, but you're going against an Olympic gymnast and a professional footy player or whatever.
Yeah, footy.
Oh, Miranda.
Yes, doesn't she? She's just lounging like the YouTube queen that she is.
I just had to get a new location. You guys change it up.
I love it. So yeah, Chad pulls out the win. Matt drops a ball. He messes up. He's out. And like, obviously Matt and Dan are bummed. Sophie's elated. She's safe. All is well in the showman's world. But again, Matt and Dan are like, well, we lost. What are we going to do?
Like, what are you going to do? Now, finally, one of you are going to be broken up.
Yeah.
Because again, this isn't I would say for Chad's game, at the time, I would think it would be best to get rid of Sophie, as a game player, but that would never happen because he wouldn't win. Because I thought she has such a good, they kept pumping her story. Her story,
Yeah.
I just wanted to be an Olympian, and I, didn't get to fulfill my dream there, and this was, my dream, and I always wanted this, and they really were like drilling it into us. So I'm like, she has a great story. Also, the last
Mm-hmm.
woman left.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, but then I knew, I'm like, he's gonna get rid of Matt because Matt's been the worst about Sophie's
Yeah.
return, and that was all Matt's fault.
Yeah.
It's almost like that was his jury management, and it was horrible.
Right. Yeah, it was interesting. Well, first, just speaking of stories, like they kind of led us into Chad's story, which I don't remember them telling us this earlier, but Chad's dad passed away, and this was Chad's dad's favorite show. So winning this last challenge and making it to the final three hit him pretty emotionally, and we see him in the DR kind of breaking down, saying he wishes he could tell his dad about it. And that, I was like, oh shoot, his story just shot up big time. Like, who doesn't
For
fall for
sure.
that?
For sure. And I do remember it early on when they were like had video footage of his home and his mom. I remember him talking about his
Mm-hmm.
dad and them being a show that they watched, and his favorite show, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, once then they started really hyping up, not I hate to say hyping up because it is
Yeah.
like a really tragic, story that you're like, wow, that's huge that
Yeah.
your dad was a big fan. I'm like, ugh. But the more they keep saying it, I'm like, oh, he's gonna win this, like
Yeah.
for sure. A moral, like super, like moral guy who also has
Mm-hmm.
this backstory of the loss of a parent, and he is hurt, and he's still winning challenges. He was
Yeah.
loyal to his woman in the game. I mean, these are all things I assume the Australian public is like, oh, this is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. No, at this point, I'm like, dang, this is a setup for him to win for sure. He's looking good for a public
Mhm.
vote. We do see him sort of like weigh his options with Sophie, and he's saying, do I choose as like who I can beat, or do I choose by who I think deserves to be in the final three? Which honestly, when it's a public vote, it's hard to even
To know.
know. Like,
Mhm.
oh, this one's a sure. I can beat that person easily. Like it really is hard to know. But like we sort of already discussed, I think Matt's the one that,
He sunk his own ship.
yeah. And
And I
Dan's social game is
know
on point. Like I have to give credit to Dan for
totally
that
is.
stuff.
And Chad's not the brightest bulb. He's like so pretty though, but he's not the brightest bulb. So I even think he can pick up on the fact that the public is not going to like the way Matt has been pouting and reacting.
Right. And I think they allude to like some like temper tantrums that we didn't even see. So I think
He had
Matt's
such a good
edit was
edit.
really good considering,
He's so lucky.
yeah. I mean, I know he's getting some hate right now, but like I think it was better than it could have been. That's what it sounds like. So yeah, so ultimately he this whole like last eviction, sitting in the room and him going to the DR to do it, like how odd is that?
I just want him to stand up and say, I have
Yes.
chosen to evict you, Matt, for these reasons. But that's because that's what we're used to, you
Yeah.
know?
But it's also
With
just like, oh, like, I mean, I guess they're giving all the power to Sonia, like she can direct it, but like it's just so odd to be like, walk out of the room. Let's waste some time.
Sonia's contract is she's paid by the line. So she's
Yeah.
like, don't cut any lines.
No. She's like, I will tell you if you are evicted. I will tell you. So they get to do like some final pleas, and we do get, a little bit of stories, and they talk a little bit. But ultimately, Chad goes to the DR and comes back, and Sonia tells us that Matt is going to go bye-bye.
Mhm.
And the
Were you
final
sad,
3,
Sarah?
no, not at all.
To see Matt go? Yeah, me neither. After the
No.
puppy thing, we were done. We were done.
Yeah. Look, Matt played a darn good game. I prefer game over whatever we call morals in these shows. I think Matt drove Dan's game, and then like Dan really helped Matt with the social. And I think the two of them worked really well together. But like Matt was smart and he was playing hard. So I appreciated Matt all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
But I get Dan's game too. So,
yeah,
yeah. I think it was at Final 5 that I was like, I'm okay with all of these people.
Yes, that's what we said last week.
And being in the final. So no, I'm not upset at all. Are you? You were probably celebrating.
No, I was like, bye, Matt. See you later. Have fun.
Bye.
Bye. Go have your wedding. Bye.
Go to Broken Hill, whatever. Like, I don't understand these references at all. I'm just
He's
a bloke
from
Broken Hill.
Broken Hill is an electrician. I'm just an average guy. And at one time, no, I shouldn't bring that up. Never mind. I would say this on my channel, but I respect Sarah's channel.
Thank you. Thank you. Who knows what it is, but thank you.
I wish I knew.
Okay. I wish I knew like references, like what is Broken Hill to us in America, and like what's Cabletown? Chad's like, I'm a lad from Cabletown. I can't pronounce THs. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, he's like, Big Brother. Free.
Big Brother. Free.
Big Brother. I feel like it is Broken Hill to me is like working class, maybe small town, southern type.
Right.
I'm trying to think of which state that would be.
Right.
Like Virginia, West Virginia. I mean, not Virginia, West Virginia or something. I don't know.
That's true. If we had someone from a small town in West Virginia, that would be unique.
Right. Or like something like that.
Like
Missouri.
Jonathan on Survivor from like small town in maybe West Virginia. I don't know. Tennessee. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Like a Tennessee small town or something.
Yeah. Something like that. All right. So we have our final 3, Chad, Sophie, and Dan. And I actually voted. Joleen, did you vote? Yes.
No.
Guess what? Our VPN fooled that voting website.
I didn't know I could. I thought for sure I could. And I was like, yeah, I can't do a .au or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I was like, let me just test this out. And it accepted my vote. So it only allowed one vote. I voted for Sophie.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm trying to think who I would have voted for. Chad's story was pulling, but then I was like, Chad never knew what was going on in the game. He was just lucky he was good at comps. So I think I would probably have to vote for Sophie. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciated Dan's game. Chad did not know what was going on most of the time, but he was great at comps. So I do give him credit for winning those comps for sure, especially here at the end. Like, dude, he earned his way into the finals for sure. But Sophie, last girl standing, very competitive, great at challenges, and did have her eye like open and knew some game stuff. So
knew more than Chad. I still feel like Sophie started her game way too late and went the showman's route where she believed that she was just going to trust Chad rather than all these other people who were telling her these things. So it's a hard pick because Dan did have a better game than both of them. He did. His game was almost flawless because he didn't even get that many votes
from the beginning. Because he had a target on his back for being, a professional football player, and
he's a giant and he snores like can win stuff, and he won't let you sleep. So he won't let you win and he won't let you sleep. I would have been like, bye, Dan. I never would have kept Dan in the house. They would have probably voted me out because I would have been conspiring against to get Dan out.
Right. Poor Anna. We wish you all the best, Anna, with spending the rest of your life with that snore.
Oh, poor Anna. We see her later.
Yes. She's so cute. I threw my vote to Sophie, but honestly, I was fine with any of these 3 winning. I didn't know how Australia felt, and I was going to be fine with any of these 3 winning. Now, the finale, I didn't care too much about These types of reunions I don't really care about. Do you? Do you get into this?
Loved it. This was like my favorite.
This was
This
your
is what
favorite.
I love it because I love the social aspect and what everyone's doing and what people think.
Yeah.
So when our big brother gives people zero time to talk, I get pissed because
yeah.
I've already seen these finalists, these final three. I know their story backwards and forwards. I don't need to see them. I just need to see who wins. I want to hear what the people have seen outside of the house. I want to hear what's going on. Is there still beef between people? I loved how much time they gave people. Then some people got like no time or got a question about someone else, but you could tell the true stars of this reunion were Angela and Kieran, and then also our little Ian. Is that his name, Ian? Okay.
Yeah.
Then him, Casey, she got to speak very seldom, which I was okay with. And
Talia got one line about somebody else.
Talia came off very like, like she knows how she looks
she's
in
trying
the
to
house.
make up for
she's
some
trying
stuff.
to make up. But I learned more about Angela. Did I know Angela had kids or did I just?
Yes, she was a mom.
Did we talk about that?
No, because like how? Yeah, how is she a mom? Has she ever taken care of her kid? Is what I would like to know. Is she actually responsible or is somebody else doing that?
She was so funny because she's like, in the when I went in there and the people are like kitchen cabinets, she's like, yeah, kitchen cabinets. I feel like
I think that's because she's from another country. I think her English is a second language.
Okay. But yeah, and I also think with an edit, you don't necessarily get to see all the personal stuff people talk about. Where if we had live feeds and stuff, she'd be talking about her kids all the time.
Right.
And maybe she went into this game. It's also kind of sexist of us, or not, I don't want to say you, Sarah, but me, to assume that she's going to talk about her kids because as a woman, you can just go in and play your game and maybe, it's mommy time now.
Yeah.
So let mommy have her time, which is what she kind of said. So shame on me, Joleen, for,
Right? She was like, who are my kids? I'm on vacation. Leave me alone.
Right? And well-deserved. You know what?
Yes. That's right.
More power.
If you actually give birth or adopt or foster, you get any break you want. Okay. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I was like, snooze fest. Who cares?
Why do you think
Alan got a package? Because I just don't care about these people anymore. I'm like, you're gone. I'm sorry. Thank you for showing up. I appreciated you in that moment. Alan got a package. Ian got a package.
Job of kind of dragging some of these people and calling out these things they were doing. So I liked that about her. And Ian's package, oh my gosh, when he was like, my parents don't like the show, and everyone at home was like, well, I'm kind of glad you're home so we don't have to watch it anymore. This guy is so down to earth and real. I'm obsessed. Like,
that was great.
A true answer like that. And she's like, she's like kind of reacting on the spot.
Like,
and he's like,
who are these people?
All my friends think it's awful. It's a horrible show. It's horrible. We'd rather watch spiders mate than this. This is awful. It's garbage. My mom says it. She'd put it on mute. So it was just like so.
They were like, we watched you when we had to, and then thank goodness, not anymore. She's like, thank you, Ian. I think. Thank you. Yeah, that was great. And it was, it was cute to see like Matt being like our hound or whatever. Like they are friends. That's the goal in Australia, apparently, to actually have friends, except for Angie, who was like, I wasn't going in to make friends. I was playing the game.
I love Angie so much.
Thank you for that. It definitely was clear who the stars were. And I felt like Garth, like Garth isn't horrible, but he didn't get the 15 minutes of fame that he wanted out of this. He did not get a package, or did he? I don't think so. No, he didn't get much attention.
And I think him and the producers probably thought for sure he was going to be with the way he dresses. I mean, he stands out,
Yeah.
But
his question was about getting Alan out. You wanted Alan out. And he was like, yeah. And then like that was it. They never went back to Garth. And he was like, excuse me, where's my package?
I know.
I feel like
Alan got a bigger package. I remembered Alan, obviously, but then I remembered from the package how cocky this guy was. And he still doesn't get that was his downfall until Angie had to point it out. And then as the show was going on, he was like over people's shoulders and he's just like Like, it
His
was
package
so
was
weird.
great because it was a bit of a burn. Like
Super
putting
bad.
all that together about like how clueless he was, basically. That was pretty funny.
And when she said, "At least you finished top 19," the top 19, I was like, "Sonia, yes, drag all of these
Sonia.
people."
Yes, thank you. Okay, so oh, and Sarah got a package, which well
She
deserved,
did.
adorable. So we get our Dan, Chad, Sophie package. Now we're down to our final three.
Yep.
Oh, also they had an audience. I'm
And they were
so
socially distant.
yeah, but I'm so like messed up from this pandemic that I saw an audience and I was like triggered. I was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And I have to like remember that it's a completely different continent. Like
Yeah.
their world is different than ours. Like
Yeah, I think their numbers were like amazingly lower than ours.
yeah, they did mention there were 2 housemates that live in Victoria, and that's apparently the only area that is on lockdown. So they weren't there. But yeah, so they were spaced out a little bit, but they all hugged and kissed, and they were obviously touching way more than we are here in America. Or at least Los Angeles. Let me just boil it down to that because everyone else seems to be doing whatever they want to do. Dan, Chad, and Sophie are finally through. They come out, spaced out. We talk to them a little bit. They get to sort of tell Australia why to vote for them one more time. Voting's not closed yet. Then their family comes out, and then we announce that Chad won.
Chad, yeah, and Chad swore a couple times, and his
Yeah,
mom
he
just went,
had
Chad.
nothing of like value, nothing constructive to say. He just cussed.
Chad is, he wanted beer. I think he's a good guy. He's got a good backstory. He's sporty spice,
Yeah.
but as far as like substance, you're not gonna get. It's not for everybody to be put on the spot and to speak in public. It's not for everybody.
Right. He's a
Dan
model for
definitely.
Pete's sakes. They're
He's a model,
known
yeah.
for not talking.
Don't speak. They prefer them even when they don't speak.
Yeah.
Even more so. Where Dan is very much more charismatic. I feel like he's used to this when he had his girlfriend there. That was kind of a little nice moment, but I'm thinking you don't have a chance, buddy. And then Sophie, it was an interesting. I think she really thought she was going to win.
Yeah.
I think she was expectation versus hope. She was like, I got this. And she seemed very nervous. And then her and Chad, their chemistry was so strange. And when he won, he was just like, his mom was like, you like almost killed me. Like he was squeezing her. And it was great that he's, so close to his mom. But I'm thinking every other time this has happened with the showmans, you always see these people run to their showmans. And they were, granted, they were up against each other and that, Sophie probably was not happy she lost, but you would think, I always think of like Boston Rob and Amber, it's like, it was like when one won, the other one won. And this is not the same situation.
Well, here's what I've learned. Okay. From my little bit of sleuthing. So they were on, before the winner was announced, before the final episode, they were on like a morning show, all 3 of them. And Chad and Sophie explained that because of quarantining and stuff like that, the finale was the last episode in the house was the last time they saw each other. They went home and didn't see each other for a few months until she flew in to, where was this, Sydney, where they were filming. She flew into Sydney. Chad picked her up, but that was the first time they saw each other in, I think it was like 3-ish months. So they were hoping for like a romantic reunion, but I feel like it fell flat because even though, so like on that morning show, they were like, we're really gonna try and see where this goes. Like we just haven't been able to see each other. But we're definitely gonna split. If one of us wins, we're splitting the money in half. Like we did this as a team. They were all like about being together. By the time we get to finale, at the after party, it was reported that they were not super close and that Chad admitted he's not giving her half of the money, that he said he'll give her something, but it's not going to be half. So
What happened to
I
this
don't,
moral
yeah.
integrity that we
Uh-huh.
had, Chad?
He said he's going to take a trip with his boys.
Yes, that's what he said at the end. And I thought that's very telling. He's like, then mom stuff, of course, mom things, but trip with the
Yeah.
boys, it just did not come off as people, as we've seen showmances in the past. And obviously, this quarantine, when they were still in the house on their last day, and they're like, I just can't wait to be in the real world together. I'm like, you are not going to be in the real world together.
Yeah.
You two are going to be, in quarantine. But they didn't know the extent of
Right.
COVID at the time. But that's.
So yeah, I mean, you know me, I buy into these little relationships and I assume it's going to work out, but I kind of not sure that this one's going to work out.
I don't think it will. This does it just no. When he won, that reaction, I mean, Hannah was more excited that he won. She hugged him like 3 times. I kept looking and then Kieran's back there looking at the camera like, where is it? So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm learning more about these people. These edits are very interesting. That's why when you watch live feed Big Brother, it's like you really feel like you know these people because you see. And these edited ones, you don't necessarily, if they don't, depends on the edit. So very interesting, Sarah. That makes so much sense now.
Yeah. So I don't think any relationship really came out of this show except for maybe Dan and Anna. They're the
and Matt and Dan.
Well, yes, that bromance is
That's
lasting.
gonna live on. Those two, I think it's gonna live on.
They're going to be besties. Actually, Sarah, I did see an interview with Sarah, and she said that she switched her vote. On the last episode, we saw her say she wanted Sophie to win it all, but by the time voting came around, she voted for Dan. And she said Dan's just like the best guy. He still checks up on her and is like her big brother. So,
well, yeah, I mean, he did keep that, I feel like, promised her in the house, and then he couldn't when it was his final two, which being Matt, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I've said it before, I was never a huge Sophie fan. I wanted her to do better and things, but she wasn't my favorite. I would have preferred Hannah to stay in the game. I would have preferred Angela to stay in the game. I would have preferred, now I can't remember her name, the woman who just turned 62. Marissa to stay in the game to Sophie.
Yeah. Thank you, VB, for the super chat. I, for once, had actual gossip. Joleen, aren't you proud of me? Look at me.
I feel like I'm rubbing off on you, and then you're rubbing off on me in good ways where I'm censoring myself a little bit because I'm like, no, I don't want Sarah to lose her monetization because I have to say something very gross,
Thank you. Yes, we will rub off on each other in positive ways. Hopefully.
I feel like
what else? There was a funny moment on that morning show when Dan said like he really was struggling before he went to Big Brother with like being fired from the football world and whatever. And he was like, I feel like being in the house, I've discovered what I want to do. And the two hosts were like, wait, so what did you find out that you wanted to do? Like he was going to say construction or something. And he was like, like I like to make people laugh. And they were like, oh, okay. And then they like moved on to another question. Like, oh, you just want it like our job. Like, okay, bye. It was so
oh my gosh, the entertainment business is just brutal, right? Like he's like, I think I want to maybe be a correspondent. And they're like, no, there's only so many of us.
I kind of felt bad for him in that moment. It's like, obviously, yes, you are very entertaining, actually. I thought he was very funny. So go for it. If you can get jobs, go for it. Oh, Bethy, thank you so much for the super chat. It was fun covering this, wasn't it? Yay. It was very fun. Joleen and I said at the top of this, it was very fun to see this for the first time. We had not seen Australia before. It is very different than US on a few levels, but boy, I really loved the production value. I loved the comps. I loved how they messed with those housemates so much.
And they brought in so many animals,
They
like
did.
so many dogs and stuff. Like and I wish our big brother would take some things from this. Like even when we saw the package again of when they called Chad into the DR and they were trying to get him to talk about Sophie, and just sometimes call a house guest in there. Give him a beer. Let him sit back and relax and open up. Make it a little more casual. Our
Yeah.
big brother, I think, has become so overproduced, especially the diary room sessions, that they're just not fun anymore. Where before it used to be like some people's opinion. Now it's like, okay, you're clearly like reading a line or someone's guiding you, and
Yeah.
it's not as fun. I want more of maybe behind the curtain a little bit, maybe
Yeah.
even hearing a voice. Like
Right.
they have that big brother voice. Why haven't we caught
Yeah.
on to that? I know we have
Yeah,
the
he's a
stop singing,
character. Well, yeah.
Yes.
No, this is a full-on character like in the show, and I think that's great. I really enjoyed that.
And the house guests start to trust this character and start to
Mhm.
really become accustomed to it, because you can see Chad even at, I mean, it's Chad, you guys, but at the finale, he was like, yeah, like he was talking to Sonia, but he said Big Brother, like he was
Yeah.
responding to Big Brother. He's become so indoctrinated to do that. It's like that
Right.
could really be very interesting in the game.
Mhm. Yeah. I did see some hate that Chad won. I mean, obviously, people are going to hate something at all times. But I think it, what I saw was similar to what we've said. Like he didn't really know where he was or what he was doing for
When
most
so
of the game,
Yeah, when Sonia was like, "You played a flawless game. You played I'm like, or like some, I don't forgot how she said it, but however she said it, I was like, he's good at some physical comps,
He was great at comps. That saved him. That was
and he had no idea. His cluelessness could actually, I guess, be thought of as gameplay if he was doing it on purpose, because people felt a little more safe because
Mhm.
they could manipulate, him. But no, he didn't have a strategy. No.
No, he didn't. Dan definitely had the strategy from the get-go. If we're voting on strategy, then Dan
Maybe
probably
Dan.
should have won.
Yeah. The best thing that happened to Dan is Talia went early, because I feel like he would have been
Yeah.
intolerable had Talia
Mhm.
stayed in the house.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was best for all of us that Talia went early.
Right. So, I mean, whew.
Really,
Oh,
really helped us all out with that one. But the rest of the cast I thought was great. I thought it was really great casting. Well,
definitely.
thank you, Jolene. Thank you for
Thank
a
you for
wonderful
having me.
season. I appreciate it.
I appreciate
But
it.
like we mentioned at the top, it's not over, guys. Just because Australia is done is just in time, because BB22 All Stars is starting soon. We should have some official cast announcements next week, and then we will have an official premiere the week after, you guys, August 5th.
I mean, Sarah, we're gonna have to rest up this weekend. I'm gonna have to learn how to sleep, because we are
Mm,
gonna have so many videos coming out. You and David are gonna be dropping videos. I'm gonna be dropping videos. We're gonna be
yeah,
collabing. There's gonna be
we're
lots
gonna
of
collab.
things going on. So
100%. I want Jolene to come back and tell me how the challenge affects this, because we have some all-stars returning who have now switched up their relationships and such because of drama on the challenge. And I need that info that you have.
it's gonna be so interesting. It's gonna be so
Right?
interesting if some of these people are coming in and coming off the challenge. There is some beef. So
Yes. My goodness, I don't understand the challenge at all. Thank you, Tammy. Thank
you
you.
would love it, Sarah, except for it's a little more
No, I
hookup-y
wouldn't.
and
It's
that
all
phase. But
fights.
oh yeah, you wouldn't love it. Never mind. But there's some good challenges. You would like the challenges.
Tammy,
The
what's a
production
positive
value.
rub? What is a rub?
It sounds.
Thank you, Tammy.
You're welcome.
Did you mean vibes? Positive vibes?
I think
Positive
it's
energy?
vibes. I think it's vibes. Or the kids could be saying rubs now. We don't know.
Rubs slap. I don't know.
They slap. It's a banger.
The banger. What? Bangers and mash? I don't know. I'm an old lady. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for joining us live in the chat. Thank you for joining us all season long. And stay tuned. Yep, more videos to come. Also, we're wrapping up BB7. David and I have been watching it all summer. So if you haven't seen the OG All-Stars, check it out with us because it's fun.
Yes. Plus, the people that they say are going to be on this season, maybe you'll see some familiar faces.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys have a wonderful night. Bye.